Good morning. So, I'm in an area that I've been to in Colorado before, just a few times, and I'm looking for something that I'm not normally looking for. I'm not looking for trails, and I'm not even looking necessarily for a cool campsite. I'm out here looking for an animal that's on the extinction list. And it'd be very cool if I could find one. And as soon as I get some breakfast, we're gonna get down the road. The last time I was out in this area was during the summer of COVID, and there were so many people here. This spot, a few other spots were taken. Everywhere I went, there's campers. I came up here last night on a Friday night. It's supposed to storm, so maybe that has something to do with it. But there's nobody else camping that I've seen. Okay, so this isn't an extinct creature, it's a creature on the extinction list for Colorado. There's a good chance that we're not gonna find it, a very good chance. I have absolutely no information saying that it'll be where I think it's going to possibly be, but I know that they've been spotted somewhere close to where we're going, so I wanted to come out and see if I could find one. The road that I'm on right now is fairly well traveled. It's more of a groomed road. It turns into a bit of a trail. But then there's a bit of a trail off of that, and I've never been on it before. I'm hoping that it's not just a four-wheeler trail or something, but using Gaia, I'm pretty sure that it's a full-on off-roadable trail.
I'm heading into ideal territory for a solo traveler. I'm anticipating four-wheel high, lush foliage from recent rains, and a little bit of exploring on foot during my search for this mysterious, endangered creature. Stopping trailside for a nature break, it's wonderful to take in what's all around. Whether it's a succulent surviving at 11,000 feet, the perseverance displayed by the aspen daisy growing in the rocks, or the orange UV-resistant pigment of a lichen, adapt and overcome is the reoccurring message from nature. This trip isn't focused around trails, around camping, or around the vehicle. This adventure is all about nature, what's been here, what is here, and what could potentially not be here for future generations.
it is. Let's see what we can find here. Okay, so we are to our first attempted destination. There's a few more ponds along the way, but I'm gonna switch over to my smaller camera so I can hook this to that camera. This is such a long lens, it makes it really hard to film with. But with this one, if I do find some of these creatures, I can zoom in on them and get some really good shots. So it smells a lot like cows here, which in Colorado could mean cattle, but it's a little bit different of a scent. And so I'm wondering if there aren't elk around, or worse, moose around, because this does look like a potential pond that a moose would like to be into. And moose are kind of aggressive creatures. So, and like clockwork to the rest of this summer, as soon as I get out here, the clouds are rolling in from every direction. This dog is acting like she's on crack. Really hoping we can find some of these, because then I can let CPW know that I found something.
Seeing this body of water from the road was promising, but walking closer is truly showing nature's beauty. I've seen lily pads in Colorado before, but not to this extent, and I've never seen the flowers in bloom. This area is proving fruitless for wildlife. I found leeches, flowers, an ecstatic senior canine, but no signs of our primary target.
Well, no luck, and the rain has come, so I'm switching to a different spot. My co-pilot here is soaked in stinky, muddy pond water, and our lake out here, quote-unquote lake by Colorado standards, is full of nothing but leeches from what I could find. We're gonna go back down the road here to the smaller pond that I'd found and check that one for the same thing. These creatures that I'm looking for live from around 7,500 to 8,000 all the way up to 12,000 feet. And I am at 11,200 feet roughly, and it's definitely the habitat for them. I'm hoping to find some flowing water that's moderately clean so I can clean this nasty dog off. Get your drink. Is that water any good? You're gonna take a bath in it. So this is our campsite. We're right across from where we should be able to see some wildlife tonight. I'm gonna go try to identify some mushrooms that I saw along the road, maybe some more inside the forest, and then I'm gonna make my way down to a smaller pond down here that's way smaller than the other one and see if I can find what we're looking for. I think the bigger lake would have been a perfect place for these animals, but they weren't there. So I don't have complete faith that basically down from there, there'll be some. Looks like I got a little sunlight. I'm gonna take advantage of it. As soon as I have a truck and I have more space, I will definitely be bringing a chainsaw pretty often when I'm out in Colorado, because it's a lot of areas where you can camp, but trees have fallen on them, and so people just don't go anymore. But there's some cool campsites I've come across, a lot of them this year, where all you need is a chainsaw. I don't know what all types of operations used to take place up here. I don't think it's much mining. There's definitely some old structure that fell in. Blue, don't you get in it. Don't you do it. Blue.
The animals that I'm looking for are particularly slow, so I'm scanning the grass, the water, and the mud to see if I can spot one, and it's not looking promising.
Looks like a moose or an elk. Probably a moose. I think my quest for this animal is looking pretty bleak. But I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to share how I know it's so bleak. As the crow flies, there are places confirmed to have them. I thought maybe since this is close, or close-ish, then maybe there'd be some here, but not close enough. So I'm gonna go direct to the source next time. So I'm gonna give up on that because that's pretty much all the marshy areas, and that's what I'm needing to look for these guys. But right now, I'd like to find some mushrooms. So me and Blue are gonna walk through the trees and stuff just a little bit more. Here's some right here actually as I'm talking. So this is a king bolete right here, but this is chewed on. Looks like little tiny teeth marks, but these ones you can tell what they are by the sponge on the bottom, but they are edible. And so there's one here, so there's probably more. And with how wet it's been this year, there's probably gonna be a lot of them. But honestly, these mushrooms are better when they're smaller than when they're big. And you can obviously get sack loads of these things, but don't take advice from a YouTuber. But 100% if this wasn't touched by animals, I would be picking this up and eating it tonight. They're good. They're not as good as chanterelles or morels, but they're good. There's another king bolete, but turn it over, you see the sponge, but also this one's rotting. There's maggots in it. So you make sure that you don't find something like that. So these ones are amanitas. Amanita muscaria, Amanita muscaria, I've heard it pronounced both ways. So these are the ones, normally these are red with the white tops. These ones are sun bleached quite a bit. But these are the ones that like reindeer eat, and they say that the story of Santa comes from. BBC did a whole documentary on animals and what they eat to hallucinate. The caribou actually eat these things, or reindeer actually eat these things. These ones aren't as pretty. Usually they're really pretty. They're really red and white and beautiful. And they get huge. There's a lot of rocks here. It's a very stony place, and where I'm usually at, there's definitely rocks everywhere in Colorado, of course. But I think more of the ground is stone, and so maybe there's less for the mycelium to hook onto. I just accidentally woke a sleeping deer in the middle of this field. But look at these wildflowers, this is crazy.
Colorado is known for the wildflowers that bloom every summer, but this year has been one of the most incredible seasons that I've seen in the 12 years of living here. This late into the summer, most years, the grass will crunch beneath your feet.
I'm gonna quit on that for the weekend because they're definitely not here, unfortunately. I looked all over the place with no luck, but the wildflowers are popping off. I'm in an isolated place for the most part. There's been a few trucks and Jeeps come through, but they're not staying. They're all just doing day trips through here, so that's good. And I have horse flies jumping onto my camera microphone. It's better that than on me. It's the only thing I'm finding out here. Horse flies, lots of them. There really is not much going on here other than hordes of mosquitoes and biting flies. So I actually think I'm gonna pack up again, because it only takes me like 5-10 minutes to pack everything up, because I've just got my chairs out and the tent up. So I think I'm gonna pack back up, and I'm gonna go to some other lakes because I've got 5 hours of daylight. This was kind of a critter hunt trip, so I'm gonna keep hunting for critters. There's another lake that I know of that has a ton of mosquitoes. I'm quite positive of that. But I'm gonna go check out the lake and not necessarily set up camp and just do a little walk around and see what's going on at that lake. Yeah, we're gonna explore a little bit more. There are some dark clouds rolling in. I've gotten a few sprinkles on my windshield, so I'm not gonna get the drone out. I'm just gonna make my way to this next spot and we'll see what we can find. I took a power line road and it's leading me into some pretty interesting terrain. Gone by a few waterfalls here. I know kind of where I'm going. This is a route that I've never been on, so I decided to take this way instead. And I should be getting where I originally planned here shortly. We're almost to 6 o'clock.
After hours of driving down the trail, I'm just about to the next stop. I haven't been back to this lake in 8 years, and the last time I was here, I realized the trout I'd been trying to catch were actually massive salamanders, so I'm excited to see if they're still here. But unfortunately, this is going to be a very short stop.
So I just had my 4th weird experience with people in the woods. I went up to the lake and I was getting out and looking for any aquatic life inside, and his dog barked. So he started yelling at his dog that the dog disturbed the peace. He said it was peaceful and you ruined it. I was in a situation where I had to drive past them. And then I got out again because I was legitimately still interested in the next part of the lake. And then when I got out again, he started shooting probably 10, 15 rounds, and I heard him yelling, and then he shot another 10, 15 rounds. I didn't hear the dog. I don't think he shot his dog. But the guy was yelling at his dog for barking, for disturbing the peace, and then he was rapid firing some sort of a weapon. So anyway, I've had several weird situations where I run into violent people in the woods. I hope to God he didn't hurt his dog, but you can't. This guy was very angry. He was probably very drunk and just didn't seem very stable. I don't know, man. People are weird. So anyway, I didn't get any footage while I was there. I had my camera with me, but I was only there for a minute. Blew out, and then this guy started kind of firing off and being crazy, so I didn't bother with getting footage. I did what was smart and just got out of there. So anyway, I just spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours getting to that lake. No, so I just spent about 3 hours getting to that lake. I did like basically a 4-hour loop today, and I'll be coming out to my original campsite here momentarily. I'm gonna make some dinner. Blue's running today like she was a puppy, and she is like 12 years old, so she's gonna be worn out for today and tomorrow. Usually she can't sleep on these bumpy drives, and she's just been sleeping for the last 3 hours. There is a king bolete. Ooh, that's a big one. So this mushroom is a little bit sun faded. Look how big it is compared to my hand. Sure. So that is it's a big one. It looks a little chipped. It's a little brown, unfortunately. They're few and far between up here. This one's a little darker than I like. Oh, there's worms eating into it too. Honestly, it looks rough, but I usually tumble it down the hillside if I'm not taking it and it's a bad one like this. Because these aren't a plant. You didn't just well, this mushroom itself is going to die, but the mushrooms are growing from mycelium inside of the ground. So this is basically the fruit. This is like pulling an apple off of a tree, more or less. So what I do is I just huck them, because then that will break up and spread spores. And there might be a mycologist that watches this and thinks I'm an idiot, and maybe I am, but that's what I always do. All right, so I'm back to the same spot that I started in this morning. The good thing is it doesn't look like there's mosquitoes. Like hundreds less mosquitoes. But I accomplished very little on this trip. Other than making Blue tired. You can't win them all. Not every trip is going to be the most amazing trip. And I just had several pretty amazing trips. So, that's okay. But I do not have a mushroom to eat, so I'm going to make a pretty simple dinner. I'm going to make ramen. And just on time, as soon as I get to camp, it's raining. I think the camera will be okay. Got a time lapse going of the sky. Just come on, that's pretty cool. I still got to see a lot of pretty stuff. I still got to experience a lot of cool things. I don't take these trips for granted. I'm very grateful for where I get to live and the things I get to see. I know a lot of you would see this kind of stuff and just be like, that is insane. I've got these mountains in the background. So I don't take that stuff for granted. And so it was still an awesome weekend to get outside, better than sitting at home. Natalia's gone. So yeah, so it was a good experience. And tomorrow I'm gonna go home and edit, and my water's boiling, so I'm gonna make some ramen. Oh. And just like that, it's raining. Sounds like it's time to go into the tent. I'm gonna clean up my dishes from dinner. The ramen was fantastic, and I'm gonna climb up in this tent. And this is why you store at least a few shows on an iPad or your phone. I don't know if my tent's zipped up. Tent was definitely not zipped up. I almost started up the Ignic under the awning just to sit and let the rain fall down for a little while. And then the thunder started, so that is an absolute no for Blue. So anyway, we're up in the tent now because I pretty much have to sit right next to her during thunder. And so we're thunder buddies. Hold on. That's a wrap for this trip. I got everything packed up. Heading back, I'm gonna go edit some video. And even though it was unsuccessful, it was cool. Saw a pine marten that I couldn't get on, like a weasel that I couldn't get on film just because they're so fast. And other than that, I really didn't see that much. Could have been a black-footed ferret, which is on the extinction list, so who knows. Saw them from pretty far away though. But I still want to find this animal, so I'm gonna find it. Comment below what you think it might be.
The conclusion to this trip was a major letdown for me. And because of it, I've already decided that I'll be returning here to make up for it. So join me next time as I load up the paddleboard and explore a lake filled with some of the most adaptable creatures on Earth. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.